Okay, so. All right, so today's topic is from Donna Farhi's movement principle, and it's the idea of centering. So centering is sort of, many of the movement principles work as counterbalances to each other, right? So I like to remember it by saying be scary, breathe, engage, support, center, align, radiate, and yield are the 7 yogic moving principles. Centering is sort of the opposite of radiate, right? So last week we talked about radiate and how we want to constantly be extending ourselves, and that really engages our physical form and makes space between our joints, which is nice and healthy for them so they're not grinding against each other, and basically keeps us lengthening, active, present, and alive in our bodies. It also really helps when you're in dance. Radiate is called attenuation in the Horton dance technique. It really helps you with balance because you're keeping this stretching, alive, counterbalance feeling. So the opposite of that is, how do you center? You got to balance that reach by pulling yourself back together. And there are some key ways in which centering also supports, gosh, these words all just overlap, right? In which centering supports alignment. And they're sort of anatomical things that we've talked about before, but one of the ways we can talk about centering is that your shoulder blades here, which you can give yourself a nice hug and reach around and grab your shoulder blades. When we're working in yoga, we want to have strong rhomboids and subscapularis, and those are the muscles that anchor our shoulder blades down and back towards the spine. I often think about my lats engaged in this too, but your lats really attach to different places than your shoulder blades, so that was a side note. But your shoulder blades, instead of being slouchy forward, are being anchored back. And so you can think of the middle of your shoulder blades centering as they squeeze in. Another place to think about centering is, of course, your abdomen, right? So I'm going to pull my shirt back today so you can really watch me, and I can watch myself stay aware of my belly lock. So if you just relax and let everything out, let it out. Make room for all your intestines, for your uteri, for your stomach. Let your diaphragm soften so there's lots of room in your air, in your lungs, and let that just come all the way out for a second. So in yoga, we do use our belly lock, but you don't want to ratchet it down to tightness all the time. You're looking for about 60 or 70% engagement in your core to keep support in your back. So both hands on that belly. Take a moment here and notice how you're feeling emotionally, because most of us have feelings and judgments about our stomach, and we often, especially in Western culture, and especially, well, I'm not going to say especially for women, because I think men feel this way too, like a self-consciousness and a discomfort about touching yourself and touching your belly. But your belly is the only way that you're alive, right? Your belly allows you to eat and digest. It makes room for food. It also, if you are a woman, is a place of creation and empowerment, and your voice gets pushed up by your diaphragm and your sense of self and centeredness. All of that happens in our core. And so I encourage you to let go of the useless judgments. And we say let go like, oh, you just let it go like you're Elsa. No, it's hard work to practice choosing to not reinforce those negative things. And that means when you notice them happening, you just decide to move on to something else, Remember our brain weasels? Pluck them out of your head and let them go. So let's put that into action. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to stick out our tummy. It's really big. And we're going to exhale, and we're going to feel the whole thing push in. And just do that a few times while I'm talking. Can you really expand your belly? You can feel your stomach muscles stretching out. And exhale, compress it in. So in your anatomy video, do I have that list open? Did we watch our tummy our tummy. Did we watch our stomach? Yes, we watched the stomach video. So we're talking about moving your transversus abdominis muscles, which are the ones that are horizontal, just like a corset. When we relax them, our bellies expand, which is why most of us hang out. And when we pull them in, we're also making a little bit more support and strength between the lower back muscles. And that's what makes it important to engage your core softly. Most importantly is that by tightening this, oh, do I have a good enough shirt for this? Okay, yes, I do. All right, so imagine that my shirt, which is kind of like baggy, right? My shirt is my transversus abdominis muscle. And maybe each line of words here is a vertebrae, a backbone in your back. So if my shirt is nice and soft and relaxed and baggy, and I bend together, then you can see how the words on my shirt kind of get clustered up together. And the same is true with the bones in your back. If you're really just soft and floppy all over the place, those backbones kind of get smushed together as we arch our back. Yeah? And when our bones and joints are smashed together, that means that we're putting more wear and tear on them. When we're supporting them with our musculature, then they can move, the joints can move without having to grind so much. Yeah? So if I have my shirt soft and baggy, you can see the words, which we're using as a metaphor for your vertebrae, get smushed together. But if I take my shirt and I pull it taut, then even as I bend, you can see that those words still stay a little bit further apart. And that's what we want to do when we're engaging our core muscles. And this is the biggest centering idea that I can bring to you. And so it's almost like you're centering your body from front to back. Yeah, you're gently pulling it in. If you are holding your abdominal wall gently in at about 60 to 70, what did they say? I need to relook up this number, but I think it's a gentle hold in of your abs results in 70% fewer lower back injuries. What? It's a really big impact, yeah? So I'm not talking about gripping it like you're trying to show off your weightlifting abs. Yeah, I'm just talking about a soft lift in. So we're going to keep talking about that, centering your belly. In yoga, we call the belly lock the Uddiyana Bandha. Bandha means lock, so I might use that term as well to think about like just hugging yourself inwards. There's also a root bandha or a root lock, and that means root is what we call, well, we use it as a verb too in yoga, but root referring to your root chakra or your pelvic floor. And that lock feels like a lift up. Yeah, nobody wants to wear adult diapers. Really? Is there anybody here? I mean, maybe some people are into that. But what we'd really like is to have not incontinence. We'd like to be continent. And so it's important also for us to think about lifting up. So some people like to imagine there's a little string that pulls your pelvic floor instead of hanging down, just slightly lifts it up inside of yourself. And it can be easier to engage that pelvic floor and then engage your abdomen, yeah? And so there's more, if you want to really get into detail about controlling your core and your pelvic floor and this whole strengthening, I talk a lot about that in core fitness class, if you want to try that in the future. But for the sake of centering, now we've got a couple of things, right? We've got our shoulder blades are coming back, our abdominal walls are coming in, we're gently lifting the pelvic floor. And then the other thing that we talk about a lot for centering in yoga class is your inner thighs. So this is one of the anatomy muscles you're going to see on our playlist this week. Your adductors. And the two names for muscles on your inside and outside of your thighs, there's adductors, which add your legs together. And there's abductors, which abduct or take away your legs. Yeah, so that's how to remember which ones are which. So for centering in your legs, you're trying to think about your inner thighs squeezing together. And this really affects your ankles. If you've been told you have weak ankles, it's probably just a hip alignment issue. I mean, they could be weak, but usually the problem is we're not centering. So go ahead and stand a little bit wide before we get into our practice directly, and let your ankles comfortably Yeah, don't push it if it doesn't feel good. Let your ankles roll out so the weight of your feet is on the outside of the sides of your foot. Yeah, so we're going for the outside of the foot. You're sort of lifting your arches up just to feel what that feeling is like. And then come down, place your feet down flat again. And notice whether in this position you tend to slightly roll onto the outsides of your feet. Most of us do a little bit, right? So when we're using the idea of centering here, what we want is to pull those thighs in. So you're activating your inner thighs and you're trying to pull your legs together. Okay, now we're going to do one more thing before we get in there just to really feel that feeling. So I'm going to take two soft fists and place them together, and I'm going to place those soft fists between my thighs, and I've got my feet a little bit wider than my hip or than underneath me, but not as wide as the wide angle. I'm gonna place them right here. I'm slightly squatting, yeah? And I'm gonna use my inner thighs to smash my hands. Smash, 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 smash. And it's gonna start to feel uncomfortable. My hands are starting to feel like they're all bunched up. My thighs are starting to ache a little bit. And there's fists in the way. It's uncomfortable. But I want you to feel that feeling, that engagement underneath yourself, up in the top of your crotch, because there are other adductors that are just short, as well as the ones that go all the way down your thighs. So there's a few muscles in there that do this action. So squeeze those legs together. Okay, from here, can you think about lifting up your pelvic floor? You can't see it when I do it, so I'll just have to tell you. And then we're going to think about lifting in your core. Yeah, so you're hollowed out. And then, even weirder, you're going to pull your shoulders back. You're going to squeeze all those things together. You're going to squeeze, you're going to squeeze, you're going to come to your center, you're going to come to your center, you're going to come to your center. And then, whew, let it go. And shake it out. Right? And you can see how that would make you a very tense and tight and crumpled down person. So, of course, we're going to balance that still with this idea of radiating and reaching. When you start to feel unsteady, too far out there, then we're going to start practicing this pulling back to your center for balance. That is our theme for today. Let's go ahead and start standing today since we've had a chat, and I'm going to start up our music and we will get going. Standing near the front of your mat. We're going to pull those legs together. And now, without like a fierce squeeze, we are going to start to draw the thighs together. So maybe you feel a little pressure softly between your knees. We're going to relax our belly for a moment, and then we're going to start to gently lift up from the pelvic floor and gently draw in your bellies. Gently draw back your shoulder blades as though you are trying to tuck your wings in. I better make sure I'm demonstrating our cores in today, so I'm going to tie up my shirt. All right. We're going to take our hands to Namaste. And we're going to start pressing our arms together. Yeah, let's let the hands be a little fierce today, because I want you to feel the back of your arms starting to fire up and how this makes you want to slouch forward, but you're going to counter that by centering back with the chest. And I am letting my solar plexus shift forward just a little bit of my body. I'm lifting up and through the center, creating almost a warm center line in my body, yeah? Inhaling those hands up. Open your hands wide. Feel your shoulder blades slide closer together as your arms go back. And then we're going to dive forward. And inhale up. Diving forward. Can you keep that little tiny bit of pressure between your legs? One more. And we're going to reach over to your right. Inhale up, reach over to your left. Can you squeeze your hands together without your arms getting in front of your face? Can you center your shoulders back down so you have a long neck again? Whoop. All right, let's inhale up. Open those chests. I'm going to take my hands down to my tailbone. I'm going to tuck it underneath, lifting in and up here. And I'm going to reach forward with a nice flat back to a flat back here. All right, I'm squeezing my legs together. I'm lifting up, so I'm hollowing up, feeling my belly lock. And now your elbows are probably falling apart. Can you bring your elbows and shoulder blades towards each other? I like to sometimes imagine that I'm trying to hold a small ball behind my elbows, like a basketball or something. Beach ball. Squeezing those legs together, pulling your belly back in, elbows and shoulders squeeze together. Let's soften our knees. I'm going to press my tailbone underneath ourselves. Yeah? And lean my chest up, squeeze those elbows back and together. Now I'm trying to zip up, so I'm zipping up through my pelvic floor, my abdomen, my shoulders, long back of the neck. Tuck your chin down so you're still looking forward. Oh, can you re-engage the center wherever it gets weak? So squeeze your legs, squeeze your belly. Find your breath. I'm already sweating. I hope you are too. Inhale up, arms float. Take it down to your forward fold. Go ahead and just drop your head and shake your head gently. No. That's all right. Drop your hips. Inhale, float up halfway. We're going to drop our arms down for a moment and then squeezing your shoulder blades back and together and release. Yeah, shoulder blades and release. Shoulder blades and release. Shoulder blades and hold them. And now check in with your belly. Can you release it and pull it up and in? Also pulling in through your pelvic floor. Your knees don't have to be straight here, okay? They can be bent. Hollowing up. Shoulder blades back. Now we're going to lift our arms. And now we're going to bring our palms together and try and hold that position. I forgot to turn on my tracker. Find your breath. Pulling up through your pelvic floor. I'm just going to repeat this checklist so it can happen in your mind eventually. Pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulder blades, arms, breath. Legs together, pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulder blades, arms together. Soften, let it go. Press the floor away, rising up. All right, we're going to go straight into our sun salutations. Breathing up and in. Open up those arms, shoulder blades, belly lock, legs together. Rise up. Exhale. Feel that nice long pulled together attenuation. Exhale to your forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Grab that ball with your elbows. Exhale. Right leg's going back. Rock it back and forth in your high lunge. Reach back through that back leg. And now we're going to think about your front and back thigh, centering, pulling together as though there's a giant pane of glass here. Imagine there's a pane of glass through the center line of your body. You're going to squeeze those thighs towards the pane of glass, and that feeling will square your hips. Yeah, so I'm closing my back inner thigh to it, and my front inner thigh is squeezing to it as well. Reaching up. Palms together. Exhale. Reach your front knee forward and radiate your back heel back. check in with your abdominal lift. Go through that checklist, my friends. Big breath in. Shoulder blades back. Inhale, reach your knee and heel further. Exhale, center the thighs. One more breath here. Reach forward. Good, good. Step it back. Come down to modified plank. Notice where your hands defaulted to before you go down, yeah? I'm not in modified plank here. I'm in like a where do I randomly get to spot. My thighs are behind my hips, so I'm not on all fours yet, which would be knee under your hip. I'm not in front of my knees, so if you're in modified plank, your weight should be above your kneecap. It can be really uncomfortable to be right on your kneecap, so if you're feeling that way, try going further forward, yeah? Elbows, remember, are rotated in. So there's another use of that centering feeling where you're holding a ball or a cat head. Oh, this is gonna be harder than I think. Right, so if I have my elbows out, my cat head would drop, right? But if I am holding my elbows rotated inward, yeah, see how that pulls my elbows to point towards my thighs. That's what I want in our modified plank, our plank, and all of that. So really squeeze that imaginary basketball or cat head. Thanks, kitty cat. And lower yourself down. Elbows are shooting for your waist. And release, baby cobra. Now while you're here is a good time to check to make sure your pointer fingers are forward. Settle down. Go ahead and reach your hands out. Just lay here for a moment. Okay, let's do a stack up here. We're going to first start by pulling our legs together. Boop. And then we're going to center our root chakra, so we're going to lift our pelvic floor. It might not feel like you know how to do that yet. Just keep trying. It will come, and then it'll make sense. Lift your belly off the floor, so belly lock, yeah? You're centering through the waist. Hopefully that feels like your tailbone lengthens just a little bit because you're pulling your belly up. There's less of an arch when we hang down. Drawing your shoulder blades back and together. Lift your nose 1 inch off the floor. Lift your arms off the floor 1 inch. Hang out here. Imagine that ball. And go ahead and bring your arms together so they're shoulder distance apart. Most of us tend to make sort of a soft high V by default, so straight arms. Hovering above the floor. My legs are still on the ground, but they're squeezing together. My shoulder blades are anchoring back, and that's what holds my arms off the floor. Find your breath again, friends. All right, bring your palms back to your rib cage. Squeeze those elbows against your body, centering them inward. Pointer fingers forward. Press up to your cobra. Lower down. Pressing up again to modified plank. Pass through plank. Coming to your downward dog. And I got a few questions about downward dog in the past week. So there are some conditions that make downward dog uncomfortable. If you have glaucoma, for example, it can send too much blood rushing to your eyeballs. In that case, or then you can use a piece of furniture so that your head's not going below your waist, and you can do your downward dog sort of out here, keeping your eyes above your hips. Above your heart really is what makes the blood rush to your head. Now some folks just feel a bit of a head rush when they start doing downward dog, and that's usually okay. If it feels like a headache, it's a good idea to check in with your doctor because that can be a sign of really high blood pressure. So you just want to check in to make sure that there's nothing really awry there. If it just is a little bit of lightheaded when you get back up, that's usually not a big bad sign, and usually sort of your body learns to adjust to that change. But it never hurts to lift your right leg and check with your doc. Of course, that's a very privileged statement because not all of us have health insurance, but if you are a student, there is healthcare on campus that can be made accessible to you. And there's links to that in the Skyline College general links. You can also reach out to me for more information about that stuff. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pendulum. Now, look underneath yourself as you do the next two pendulums and make sure that you're really brushing your inner thighs against each other and staying along that center line. And then go ahead and step through. Settle into your high lunge. Rock back and forth. Make sure your body's set up with that pane of glass in between. Squeeze those legs to it to rise up. Ooh, it's a wobbly day for me. That's all right, I'll get into it. Squeezing the center line really closes the hips to square. We're gonna take our hands behind ourselves today. Yeah? Go ahead and, you know what? I'd love to hold my hands back here because it helps hold them there. But today we're gonna go into a flat back high lunge and you're just gonna hold like you're squeezing that ball between your hands. So use your shoulder blades to help hold your arms there. It's a lot of effort. Centering inward, thighs together, belly lock, pelvic floor, shoulder blades and arms, long body. All right, swing those arms forward, find the floor, stepping together, forward fold, inhale, lift, exhale, soften, rolling up. All right, here we go, we're up. Left side. Think about all that attenuated centering as you pass through forward fold, inhale, lift up, pause. Shoulder blades, belly lock, pelvic floor, thighs. I notice when I squeeze my thighs together, my whole weight lengthens and shifts into the balls of my feet a little bit. Do you feel that too? Soften down. Left leg steps back. It is the lunge you were just in. All right, find that square, rising up. Squeeze those thighs together. Press your palms together this time. Just hold it there. Big breath. Back inner thigh especially is squeezing in. Open up the chest, chaturanga vinyasa. So we're going to step back, place your hands right underneath your shoulders, check your belly lock is pulled in, and we're going to pull our heads and hearts forward past your fingertips to lower down through chaturanga. Modify is fine. Your knees can always be on the floor for those chaturanga and modified chaturangas. Pull those thighs back together as you come back up. Let's go ahead and take our knees down to child's pose. Yeah, if you're also feeling a lot of head thumping in your child's pose, you can take two fists, soft fist, make a little stack, and you can place your hand on them, and that way your head doesn't have to fall below your heart, which is if you are suffering from those things we talked about earlier, glaucoma, high blood pressure, stuff that makes your head really pound when it goes lower than your heart, you can support with two fists here in your child pose anytime you need that modification, okay? Let's slow our breath back down. All right, go ahead and slide your hands back out to come back into your downward dog. Already checking in with yourself. Pointer fingers forward, centering those elbows down and back, pulling your shoulder blades back, lifting your pelvic floor, engaging your abdomen, and then pressing up. Can you center your legs together before you lift your left leg? So you're squeezing your legs together. Let's deepen this downward dog for a moment. Let's take a big breath in. We're going to soften the back legs and push with our hands, getting our ribs closer to our thighs. From here, let your heels almost touch the ground. They should not be all the way touching in your downward dog. They might be grazing. Recheck in with those arms. Are you rotating them towards each other? Belly lock. And leg comes up. Look underneath yourself. Most of us open the leg to the side. I'm going to turn so you can see what I mean by that. Yeah. Notice I'm letting my shoulder blades slide back, so my shoulder blades are centering back, and my head slides towards my fingertips. All right, I'm going to lift up my leg, and notice how my leg's going slightly to the side. I'm going to exaggerate. Yeah? So what I want to think about centering here is going to re-square those hips by pulling both thighs to the center line. Engages your inner thighs. All right, here we go, pendulum. Big breath in, extend that leg. Exhale as the thighs pass. Inhale as you tuck forward, elbows together. Exhale, thighs pass. Inhale, swoop up. Whoop, recenter. Touching my wall here. All right, this one's going to step through. High lunge. All right. Center. Pulling those thighs square. Arms up. Shoulders down. Notice also how anchoring my shoulders and centering my shoulder blades makes space around my neck. I'm going to open my arms wide. I'm going to squeeze to that imaginary ball, and I'm going to press, attenuate, radiate through the crown of my head forward. Knee forward, skull forward, heel back, arms back, and center. Find your breath. Swoop it forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, soften everything. And inhale, roll, stack it up. Good. Go ahead and find your space on the mat. We're going to go through our next flow through Warrior 2 again, side angle again, triangle again. So I just want to take a moment to talk about where your feet are. Yeah. So in some of the pictures I saw this week in your submissions, I noticed we're doing a pretty good job. That's what I really noticed. For our triangle pose and our Warrior 2, the legs are at a 90-degree angle from each other, yeah? So a right angle. So that means this foot on the floor should be, and the way to judge is by your pointer finger toe, right? Not your big toe, but the next one in. That and the heel should be on a straight line. Let's say this one's pointing straight forward. And the other foot is trying to point straight to the side. The heel lines up with the arch of the back foot. Now, not everybody's hips are getting all the way open. Remember when we talked about Warrior 1, how it's sometimes hard to get all the way square. With Warrior 2, it's hard to get all the way flat. So if where you're working means that to get your hips flat, this knee is falling inward, and let me turn sideways to demonstrate what that looks like. Okay, now my back foot is pointing at the side of the room and my front leg is pointing at the front of the room. And I'm going into warrior two. My kneecap tendon right there is lining up with my pointer finger toe, yeah? But if I'm trying to get all the way flat and that pulls my knee in, two things. One, we want to use that piriformis external rotators under the butt to pull that knee open. That's what we really want to be doing while we're working. But if you can't do it yet, that's okay. We'll get there one day. It's okay to turn slightly in with this foot as long as you're maintaining knee and toe in the same direction. I'd rather see a slightly in knee than your knee and toe flaring apart, because that's just too hard on your knee, yeah? Okay, so we're talking about centering here today. Let's go ahead and go to our warrior two. Front knee is rotating open. Rotating open. Let's just try that for a minute. Put your hand on your inner thigh, please. And we're going to use your under butt muscles to rotate it open. You can also see when I rotate open, my thigh crease increases. Just a fun fact. Maybe that works that way to you too. All right, over here on the outside, do you notice, remember we talked about rolling to the outside of your foot. Do you notice here that your foot is rolling onto the outside edge? Because that's pretty common, yeah? We're gonna work against this. We're gonna support by centering this thigh. So I'm gonna think about trying to squeeze this leg in with my inner thigh muscles, yeah? If you're not sure whether that's happening, go ahead and take your hand to that inner thigh and try and squeeze your hand into your inner thigh. The last thing that I saw in some of our documentation was a knee lock. So go ahead and place your hand on that knee gently. And just feel what it feels like when it goes thunk to the back, yeah? We don't want knee on knee here. Let it be soft and lifted, so we're pulling. Sweeping in and up. And when we do that, you feel the whole foot on the floor taking pressure. So my ball of the foot by the big toe as well as the outside is on the ground here. And go ahead and open that leg back up. Now, hopefully, while we were going through all of these alignment and support and centering and rotation details, hopefully you were trying it along with me the whole time. Yeah, that is what I'm hoping for. I talk a lot when we're having these detail days. My hope is that you are also practicing during that time instead of coming out of it, yeah? Okay. In an ultimate version of the pose, I'm certainly not going to stay down here. Your bent knee is at a 90-degree angle, so your thigh is parallel to the ground, your hips are all the way square, and your feet are under your palms. It's a lot. I don't want to stay there. But I want to get somewhere that I can hold it and work and run through all of those little adjustments in my mind and breathe. So I want to go somewhere that feels challenging, yeah? Most of us, when we start learning this, we come way far up. Yeah, so I did see some feet that are so close that your thighs aren't burning. So let's stand for a moment and take that break. Let's go ahead and do the other side alignment, yeah? The Warrior 2 side angle flow that we're about to do should cause muscle fatigue as you do it for the next few weeks, yes? So if you're not a yoga practitioner all the time anyway, and you're not feeling it in your thighs and your hips, then it's time to expand a little bit more. Remember, we're never looking for short pain. Okay, how's that knee? Let's make sure it's rotated open. If you can feel a little squeeze under your butt here, that's great. Remember, we want that butt and that hip to rotate underneath, yeah? Opening square, booties tend to fling out. We're trying to get vertical. Oh, here's a great time to think about our pelvic floor and belly lifting up and in. And we're centering in with the back leg thigh. That helps us to not lock the knee or not roll out on that foot, yeah? It's weird, right? Because you're both trying to expand and pulling in at the same time. It's wacky. Go ahead, send your gaze out. Do another checklist. Knee over toe, reaching that thigh, pulling your legs towards each other, but also splaying open, lifting in through your root chakra and your belly. Shoulder blades back. All right, let's press on out of that. Shake it out. Okay, we're gonna go through our side angle flow. If you want your mat sideways, you can turn your mat sideways for this next part. I'm gonna start facing front, and then I'm gonna switch to this side once we get going so you can see me from the side. All right, big breath in. Both arms up, center those shoulder blades together. Hold your imaginary ball, and we're gonna tip forward from the hip sockets to our warrior three. Bus stop A, warrior three. Square hips, toes on the ground. Bus stop B, use your glute to lift that leg just barely off the floor. This has to do a lot of work, the standing outside hip. Keep those hips parallel to the ground. It's hard work. Moving towards your C. D is flat. And you can just keep your hands on your hips here. Let's do that this week. Now, if your foot is flaring, guess what? We're gonna center the thighs, and that will help you square your hips. Warrior three. Good, good. All right, sweep it down. What? And up in front of yourself. We're gonna cross the legs as high up the thigh as you can for eagle pose. Big breath in. Arms come up. Top leg is bottom arm. Send your top leg arm down. Should be your right. And the other one cross above the elbow. Bend both arms. Sit down and squeeze everything towards your center line. Release. Step onto that foot and send your left foot back, opening it up to warrior two. Big breath in. Let's draw our bow and arrow. Paint down the center line of your body. Pulling your thigh in, opening your front knee out. And we're gonna draw our bow and arrow and shoot some Cupid love out there. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. Are you still centering through your thighs, through your core, through those shoulder blades? Big breath in. We're gonna exhale and we're gonna lean back to crescent pose. Really let this front hip drop down. Keep opening that front knee. Looking up at your top hand. How does your back foot feel? Can you learn something about whether you're centering by how your back foot feels on the floor? Like, can you re-engage that leg if you feel the outside pinky toe getting smooshed? Big breath in. Over to your side angle. We're gonna place the elbow on the front knee. Most of us close this by accident, so let's reopen. Pressing your right hip underneath, opening the thigh, rotating, revolving your rib cage so it's in line with your body. We're gonna circle the arm with our breath. Big breath in. Wipe the back wall, opening your armpit. And big breath in. And big exhale. No judgment about the sensation that's happening in your front thigh. No judgment, you're working towards a reward. Breathe instead. How much of your thought can you devote to that breath? One more time. We're gonna come back with this one to warrior two, but don't straighten that leg. Resist, resist, stay grounded. Now straighten. What a reward that is. Back your back foot in, hands to your pelvis, 90-degree angle between your front heel and your back leg for your triangle pose. And we're gonna soften and lengthen, soften and squeeze together. Soften and squeeze together. Soften and squeeze together. Make sure we're not locking our knees back. Remember that funk feeling? We want to stay radiating and centering, but not locking back. And tilt. Keep revolving the chest and the pelvis. Open. Tip your hips a little bit more and find a place for your hand. It can be on your upper thigh. Remember, anywhere but not right on the knee. Shoulders, let's roll them back. Center those shoulder blades down and together and re-engage through your pelvic floor and your belly. Check that back leg. All right, friends, we're going to soften your front knee. We're going to take both hands down. Go ahead and soften your back knee. We're going to revolve the triangle. And that means I'm going to revolve my rib cage all the way around and now lift the opposite arm, should be your right arm, up to the air. Re-lengthen your legs and center. So thighs together, pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulder blades, especially your shoulder blades here. Soften. Unwind back to triangle. We're going to soften our knees just a little bit. Swing those hips back underneath yourself. And back to your warrior two. Close it forward, warrior one. Turn that back leg out for warrior one. We're going to reach forward. Reach, 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 lifting through your belly, holding that ball, hanging in there. Hands to the floor, step on your front leg, lift your back leg up on that center line, step together. Good job, you guys. Drop your hips, just hang your chest. Slowly come up, thinking about centering through your legs. And then as your pelvic floor becomes vertical, pull up, bellies. As your rib cage comes vertical, pull your shoulder blades back, centering in the chin. Rise forward. So I'm going to bring my tailbone to my center line, forward, back, center line. And that, if I go a little bit too far, will lift me off of my heels. So lift your heels off. Not because you're jumping, but because you've shifted your pelvis above the balls of your feet. Center through your thighs for balance. So squeeze your thighs together for balance. Good, 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 good. All right, this one is a not for everyone activity. We're going to do a full squat down to the ground and back up with our legs together. So if you have delicate knees, you're just going to go until you start to feel your knees. And you're going to come up a half an inch from there so where you can hold it, and then we'll rejoin you, okay? Big breath in. Remember to respect your own body. It's not a competition. We're going to press our hands together fiercely. We're going to center our shoulders back fiercely. We're going to center our bellies in. And we're going to squeeze our thighs together. And then tailbone shifts forward so the heels rise barely up. This is one of the few occasions where your knees will pass your toes. So bending your legs, your knees are going way forward. Keep squeezing your center line as fiercely as you can. Fierce, fierce, fierce squeeze. Remember, if you feel it in your knees, come up a half inch, wait for us. Down you go. Good, 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 good. Pull your bellies back. Can you get your shoulders over your pelvis here? Most of us lean forward a little bit, so let's adjust that. I'm gonna center my chin back in, squeezing center. I'm gonna push the floor away, so squeeze your thighs together, protecting your ankles by using your thighs to squeeze together. Pushing the earth away, rising back up. Good job, everybody. Arms swing forward. Left leg, warrior three. Take your hands to your pelvis today. Let's be clear about centering that pelvis. Center your shoulder blades as well. Use your glute. Lift that leg with your butt. Remember, you might still be in bus stop A and you are doing all of those centering practices with us. Yeah, you're still centering your thighs together. Maybe using your glute to just lift the leg for a moment off the floor to test balance. Arms are grasping that ball. All right, we're gonna swing it back through. Whoosh! Okay, most of us are gonna feel a tired foot that we've been standing on here. Try to release that foot into the floor. Yeah, you want your hip to hold on to your balance. We're going into eagle pose. Top leg is bottom arm. Cross above the elbows, guys. Big breath. This is a hard practice today. You guys are doing great. Squeeze that center line. Good. Release it. Forward leg, you're going to step to it. You're going to turn your hips out and step to warrior two. Have a little sassy moment. Vertical pelvis, opening the front thigh, checking that you're in a 90-degree angle between your feet. Booties might be back and sassy at first. Remember, that's for triangle. So we want parallel to the floor for warrior two. Big breath. Shoulders and belly centering. All right, we're gonna have sensations in that thigh, especially because we're getting tired, right? So without judgment, just focus back to your breath. Centering those thighs. Inhale up. Big crescent moon with your arms, opening your thighs, centering your thighs, finding your breath. Up and over. I'm going to adjust my back leg. I'm feeling in my knee back here today, so that means it's taken on more than I needed to. Find your side angle. Front knee, thigh right here could be really tired. External rotator could be really tired. Whole quadricep really tired. Inner thigh squeezing together. Finding your breath. Circling that arm. All right, we're gonna rise up here, but leave that knee bent for this last moment. And the gift of straightening your leg. Whew. Oh, thanks, music. It really built up with us, didn't it? Scoot your back foot in, friends. Let's come back to our triangle. Check those hips. Tilt them over. Find your triangle. Hollowing up, thighs together. Find a place to rest. Get that bottom hip coming through. You're trying to keep both shoulders and both hips on the same side. If you bent over so far that your booty went out behind you, bring your hand up higher and come back to that center. Shoulder blades centered, belly centered, pelvic floor centered, inner thighs are working. Good, good. Take it down. Soften your knees as you switch to revolve. Shoulder blades really working hard to center here. Good, coming back up. Rising. Turning both legs out. Soften side to side. Press your hands back. Yeah, back. So you're helping to rotate, externally rotate those knees. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I mean a little different. Yeah? So when ignore my back leg, I'm trying to get it out of the way so you can see. When I say press my hands back here, what I mean is I'm going to take my hand to the thigh and I'm going to help this knee to rotate so the knee is over, so it's not falling in anymore, so it's over that shin, over the foot. Pressing back. Softly side to side. If you can bring your elbows in, bring your elbows in. That's a bust up seat. All right, pressing up. Bring your legs back to parallel. Softening those knees. We're going to take our hands and walk them over in front of the right leg. And I want you to take your hips from square and tip them to the right. So you're dropping your left hip down and opening up the right side of the hip. Yeah? Shoulder blades back, centering, and you're spiraling to your right. If you can, I'm going to turn sideways. If you can, we want to get the stretch on the outside of that right leg here. Yeah? It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but you're aiming towards there. And your shoulders are centering. So they're probably not going to be straight up and down, yeah? Really press your body through and over towards that right side, trying to get to your IT band and your right outside hamstring. We're going to soften the legs and travel through to the other side. I'm definitely using my spider hand position here, so I'm on my fingertips, maybe my first knuckle. I'm going to center through my shoulders fiercely, and that helps me twist into the left leg. All right, take it back down. Come on down to all fours. Now we're going to be on all fours. For me, that means that your knees are right underneath your hip sockets and your hands are going to be underneath your shoulders, yeah? As with all of the wrist comfort and strength advice, pointer fingers are pointed straight up. Your hands are open like, I'm 10 years old, and you're gripping the floor. Your elbows are swinging in alongside your body, yeah? Centering. If your elbows are slightly out, like natural, you're gonna have a lot more crease in your wrist. So go ahead while you're sitting here, go ahead and, when you're sitting on your heels, most of us have the temptation to cross our feet. Try to practice pointing your feet straight back so you're not crossing your toes. And I want you to take your hand, go ahead and pull it back, yeah? So you're stretching the underside of your wrist here. And notice the little skin wrinkles that happen here on that wrist. All right, so now bend your elbow down. And notice how some of those skin wrinkles went away. And now let your elbow come out to the side and notice how that feels on your elbow, not so hot, right? Try the other side. You can stay seated. I'm just gonna come up so you can see my wrist a little better. And take my hand forward. I'm hyperextending my elbow now, and I'm pulling my fingers back to flat, and I have lots of wrinkles in this elbow. Yeah, lots of wrinkles, wrinkles in my wrist. Hyperextended elbow equals lots of wrist wrinkles. And that means lots of compression. Now, if I take my elbow and I soften it and wrap it down, then I have fewer, still some, but fewer wrinkles here. That means a little bit less compression. If I let my elbows go out to the side, then I get this angular discomfort, yeah? So that's why it's really important to center those elbows in, shoulders back, pointer fingers straight forward. All right, here we go, friends. To our all fours. We're gonna first drop your core, center it. Now we're gonna think drop, root, belly, shoulders. Actually, let's leave our shoulders be. That's too many things at once. Okay, shoulders are centered back. Relax your core. We're going to lift up our root and our belly lock. And release. Big breath. Lift your root, lift your belly. It's okay if you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing down in the pelvic floor area, because most of us take a while to figure that out, yeah? It's okay. Let it go. Lift, lift. Release. Come back. Press your wrists out and hollow in and up with your core. Yeah? Coming back to all fours. Be precise. Let's go. Elbows back. Shoulders back. Long neck. Press the floor with your knuckles. Press your knuckles into the floor, and we'll go floor, root lock, belly lock, elbow squeeze. Take it back. Tip your pelvis back, lift up, hollow up, press your hands. Big breath in. Open that chest. Good. Curve the body. Big breath in. Open up that chest. Again, this time I want you to think about centering through your thighs, centering through your belly. As you open up those arms, center your shoulder blades back. And as your arms get down, we're gonna tip the pelvis up and in. Squeeze the thighs together. Lay a little strip of ribbon across your hip bones. And use your glutes and thighs to rise up without dropping that ribbon. Good. Dive forward, centering through your belly, centering through your shoulder blades, coming to a flat back hover. When you can't take it anymore, you're gonna fall. Your hands fall to that spot we practiced. We're gonna rotate our elbows in, and we're gonna try to graze our nose, chin, chest to the floor right between those hands. Nose, chin, chest. Baby cobra, full cobra. Shoulders are still back. Don't lose that center of your shoulders and let your shoulders come up, but instead lengthen, radiate through your spine and squeezing those shoulder blades back. And we're gonna come back to our feet. Big exhale as you pass through child's pose. I'm gonna turn back to the side. We're gonna do the same thing again. We're rolling up to our thighs, centering. We're thinking about our pelvic floor and belly hollowing as we come up. We're gonna center through our upper back as we open those wings. Scoop up some air. Bring your thighs back together and your belly lock up as you center through your hands and elbows. Rising up. Exhale, center through your shoulder blades down. We're gonna tuck, tuck up and in, tuck up and in, tuck up and in. Good, thighs together, rise. Good, good. Find your hover, center through your belly and your shoulders and your thighs to find that hover spot. Find your breath. Squeezing thighs together. Good, hands to the floor. Check them first, then nose, chin, chest with your elbows into your body. Upward dog if you like, or maybe just a baby cobra. Whatever feels best for you. And place yourself back on the ground. Last one, friends. Big breath. Legs together, squeeze. Pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulders back. We're gonna press up and back to your child's pose, passing through. Gather your legs together, then your pelvic floor, belly engage as you rise up. Shoulder blades pull back, arms open to the side. Big inhale. Hollow up your center. Pull those elbows in and rise with your arms up. Elbows still squeezing in, and alter your chest, opening it to let your shoulder blades go. Coming through with your pelvis, rising up. Dive to your flat back. Squeezing those thighs together. Find your breath in this hover. Pull your shoulders back and your belly in. Then you can find the floor. Check your fingers and arms, elbows in. Nose, chin, chest. Nose, chin, chest. Rising up, elbows in, thighs in. Lower down. Good. Place one hand on top of the other in front of your forehead and enjoy a 5-second nap. Can you release all of that tension? Let your jaw go slack and don't be afraid to drool. Inhale, lift the head and switch to the other side. Again, let your jaw go slack. Don't be afraid to drool. Your mouth can be open. Nobody's judging. Big breath. All right, we're starting to come back. We're going to start by pulling our legs back together. We're going to keep that centering through the legs. We're going to lift our belly lock in and our pelvic floor in. We're going to reach that tailbone down. So I want you to really lift your belly meats away from the floor. And it's totally fine if the flesh of your belly is on the mat. Okay? That's fine. It's the muscles underneath that you want to feel hollowing out. Yeah? All right. Here we go. We're going to shuffle our elbows back so that your palms are under your shoulders. And your arms, of course, are going to try and go out to the sides, but we're going to squeeze them in. And your pointer fingers are forward. And I'm going to rest my forehead on the floor, so my chin's a little tucked here. And first I'm going to find the centered position. So going through the line from the feet, I'm going to pull my calves and thighs together. Pelvic floor, lift the belly. And then I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back and my elbows in. And we're going to inhale and lift the chest. Pressing into the front knuckles. Just a half a cobra. Settle it down. Notice what released. We're going to go up 2 more times just like that, and then we're going to add movement, yeah? So let's reset everything. Thighs and legs together. Pelvic floor, belly, shoulder blades back. Press into the hands and inhale, shoulders back, bellies in, legs together, and take it back down. For me, it's really hard to keep my legs together. They just want to swing out. So that's what I'm focusing on, bringing those together today. That's my challenge. Big breath in. Legs together, pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulder blades, and rise. Press the mat with your full hands, elbows in. Rest your forehead. Now, if you feel a lot of compression in your lower back, you have 2 choices. One is to not come up as high, and the other is to deeper engage that belly and to try and stretch your tailbone towards your heels a little bit more to make more space. All right, we're going to do a figure 8 with the head. So I'm going to rise up and drift down to the right, and then rise up to the left and drift down. Follow your own breath. Inhale up, exhale down. We'll go. Let yourself look. Now try to hold on to that centering feeling, but as you move through this, we're going to let it get a little slack, yeah? All right, send your arms out. 2 breaths. We're going to do that same task again of the figure 8 through your cobra, but this time I want you to really just let yourself enjoy it, yeah? So let yourself go a little differently, a little off center, a little softer, just feeling that movement. Here we go. Elbows drawn back. Inhale, up we go. Let yourself dance it out. Press it back to your child's pose. Rolling up. We're going to come on to our backs. All right, now we're going to rock through our pelvises. And by that I really mean that I'm curving and arching my lower back. And when our feet are on the floor, it's really easy to do this by pressing with your legs as though you're trying to lift your hip up. So now let's take that away, lifting our feet up in the air. Can you still curve and arch, and curve and arch, and curve? So I'm thinking about the tilt of my pelvis here. All right, pull your knees to your chest, press them in. The feeling of your pelvic floor lift and your belly lock feel really different now that we've flipped over because the gravity is working in a counter way to what it was when we were on our bellies, yeah? So take a moment here while you're holding your legs in and see if you can feel the feeling of pulling your pelvic floor up. Gently holding that pelvic floor up. Press your thighs out. Press your bellies out into your thighs, yeah? Like you're trying to push your belly meat against your thighs. Notice how that also puts pressure down in your pelvic floor, yeah? All right, let's do the opposite. Pelvic floor in and try and hollow your belly down into your lower back. Now put your feet back down. Windshield wiper those legs briefly. Arms out to the side. And just enjoy. Softness again. All right, with your feet on the floor, stick your bellies out, push down that pelvic floor, and then pull up the pelvic floor. Hollow the belly in, big breath in. We're gonna hollow the belly in, and I want you to imagine growing tree roots into the ground. So you're really drawing all of your effort, rooting down through the lower back. We're gonna take our hands and slip them right underneath your buns, yeah? And then rock your feet, place your feet down, feel the weight of your butt cheeks on your hands. And then root down through the waist and lift your legs up. Scoot your thumbs in, right to where the weight of the hips is if you really draw yourself in here, yeah? So our goal is to stay, go ahead and arch and curve, just like you're doing cat-cow, yeah? Our goal is to keep the lower back pressed onto the floor. And it's harder than it seems, yeah? Because if you have your feet to push your butt off the ground, that's not so bad. But I want us to learn to do it by hollowing up pelvic floor and belly locks. All right, so hollowed up there. You can press your hands into the floor and we're gonna lift our legs up. Yeah, we're gonna keep the weight off those thumbs. Belly's in and up, lifting your shoulders. Center those legs together, lifting up a little higher. Keep those tailbones just barely off the floor. We're gonna lift. Right, left, center, left, right, center. Center your legs. Hands behind your head, pull your chin into your chest and stretch the back of your neck. Look at your belly. I bet it stuck out because mine did, that's how I can tell. Pulling your belly back in, squeezing your legs together. Placing your head back on the floor, release your arms. We're gonna lift our tailbones up. Lift them and out. You can hold on with your hands, that's okay. lift. Don't kick your legs. If you're like pumping your legs like you're on a swing set, then you're not using your abs. Yeah, use your abs to do a curl of your tailbone off the floor. Good, all right. So pulling your legs in, hollowing out with your transversus abdominis and your pelvic floor lift. We're going to lift your chest up. So now you're using your rectus abdominis as well. You're gonna hold everything in the tightest little ball you can and try to breathe in your upper chest. Send your legs up. Release. Slide it all the way up. Okay. Reach your feet as far as you can. We're gonna flex our feet. So I like to sort of imagine I'm hooking my feet onto a bar down there. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take our arms up. I'm gonna pull my belly button in and down. This is not gonna be success the first try for most of us, yeah? So it's okay if you kind of jump in the middle or cheat in the, whatever. It's gotta go awkwardly. Big breath in, hollow in and up. Head and shoulders up, looking down your body. Notice how that belly probably rose a little bit again. Can we compress that belly back in? Can we squeeze our legs towards each other? Come up a little bit higher. Most of us need to throw our bodies to get up past this first part, but the goal is to not do it. So instead of jumping or throwing, I'd rather you pull yourself against your pants to bring yourself up, hollowing out that core. Big breath. All right, elbows in and we'll curve down. Keep squeezing those legs together. Again, we're going head, neck, belly in. Big breath. Shoulder blades back. Lift your heart up, arms forward, tuck your chin, lean up. Come back to upright. And we're gonna bend our front knees and we're gonna lean forward with the head, neck, and chest. Really let the back of your neck fall forward. In fact, you can grab the back of your head, really tuck the chin into your neck and release the back of the neck. Coming back up to upright. Lengthening through that neck. Root and belly, draw in, shoulder blades back. Extend those legs. We're gonna roll all the way down, one by one vertebrae from the bottom of your spine. So we'll tuck the hips under, drawing in, drawing in. It's okay to hold on to your pants, drawing in, drawing in, drawing in, drawing in, drawing in. Good, stretch it up along and legs back in. Extend those legs, hold them in. And we're gonna big breath in. Pelvic floor and belly hollows. Lift those hips, lift your chest. Everything is going up. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Tailbone rises, legs together, arms up, belly up, head up, chin tucked. Good, let it down. Arms to the side, straight to the side. Center your shoulder blades back. And let your knees rotate softly over to your right side. Release. Go ahead and allow your bottom leg to scooch a little bit more towards straight. And this lets this knee drop a little bit more. Big spinal twist here. If you'd like to open your upper back a little bit more, the next step, and this is a bus stop step, so if you're happy right here, this is a lot. Sometimes it's a lot in the lower back. Just stay there. If you'd like a little more, you can walk your shoulders towards the knee, like this. Yeah, so now my spine is aligned again. Big breath in, lift your back arm up. Yeah? And I want you to imagine someone's pulling your fingertips up towards the sky. So really make space in your shoulder socket. Big breath in. Exhale. Someone is taking your fingertips, radiating them as far away as possible and opening up that chest all the way to the ground, turning your head back so that you and your arm that's extending straight back are looking from whence you came. Big breath in. Take this front knee and drop it back towards the earth. Good. Inhale the arm back up. Gather that top leg into your body to roll gently, slowly back to center. Both legs in. Float those legs up. Big breath in. Hollow up and in your core. Head, neck, and shoulders rise. We're going to go side to side. Coming center, bend your knees to your chest. Lift the tailbone off the floor. Hollow up. Hands are optional, pull those legs together. Hips are off the ground. Release. Spreading the arms wide to the side, centering through the shoulder blades. Now, your other leg goes down and your top leg crosses the body. Adjust your shoulders through. Breathe into that back twist. Softening your jaw. Back arm up. Radiate, really reaching through those fingertips. Keep that distance as you rotate open. Inhaling back up with the arm, grabbing that top leg and supporting yourself. Come back center. We're just going to lay on our back here and use your hands to support the weight of your legs and circle those hips in the hip socket. So we're just making some motion and fluidity in your hip sockets here. Go ahead and keep on with those knee circles. I'm going to find us a slow Shavasana. All right, my knee circling friends. Go ahead and reach through and grasp your ankles from the inside. So not from the outside of your thighs, but from the inside. Let those knees fall open. So the weight of my legs is sort of in my hands and it's opening up the inner thighs in this position. I'm just letting those inner thighs open because we did a lot of centering with our adductors today. Letting the pelvic floor open. Letting everything release. It would be perfectly natural if your body in this relaxed pose released some gas. Have a little chuckle if you need to, but it's okay. Big breath. Now I'm thinking about starting to tuck my shoulder blades back, lengthen through my neck, drop my chin, and in a couple of breaths I'm going to release my feet. So when you feel ready to release your feet to the floor, you go ahead and go for it. And in your own time, you can place your feet on the floor and your knees together or slide out to Shavasana, aka corpse pose. But I'm going to let you do that today in your own time. And for now, just let yourself deep breathe. us back to your breath. Letting your rib cage rise and fall. Starting to see the back of your eyelids and reaching through your toes just a little bit. Big breath, spreading your rib cage up and apart. Notice if your pectoral muscles or your upper chest feel tight, because we did a lot of pulling those elbows in today. Unfurl your chest as you unfurl your eyelashes. Maybe reach those wiggling fingers up above your head and stretch one arm and the other. Reaching one leg and the other. Drawing in one leg. So your heels near your glutes. You're gonna press that foot into the floor to roll your hips to the side and come to your reflective pose. Yep, it's a real yoga pose. Go ahead and extend that leg. Let the weight of that leg help you walk your back up. Oop, mic back. Thank you for joining today. I hope you had a good practice, a little sweaty, feel strong and centered and grounded. Notice if that idea of centering, of like drawing yourself in to your own strength and posture, helps you feel a little grounded in the rest of your day today. Thank you for being here and for allowing me to learn from your process. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. It's always an honor.